Welcome in to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays, wherever in the country you may be, wherever in the world you may be. Even if you're at work right now, pretending to work, or even if you're in class, pretending to be in class with your headphones in, listening to this show. I thank all of you for joining me on a great Tuesday morning as spring officially arrives across the United States. Maybe even in the bathroom, as some of you may be. All right, we got much to get to, but before we get rolling, I want to tell you, Sweet 16 starts on Thursday. Basketball games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Lots of gambling to go on. And I'm telling you right now, the best place to go to make sure that you get the best of line, sportsbookreview.com. That's sportsbookreview.com. They also have lots of free picks up there. But I'm telling you, if you want to make sure that you're getting the best possible line, go there and you'll be glad that you do. Again, that's sportsbookreview.com. I also want to tell you, spring has sprung across much of the country, and it is time for many of you to go ahead and buy new homes. And if you want to buy new homes, you got to get pre-qualified because it's so competitive in so many cities all over the nation. Wherever you are, best homes and best neighborhoods, you're going to have to bid at a high level in order to get them. I'm telling you right now, go to thehomeloanexpert.com. Let my guy Ryan Kelly hook you up. That's thehomeloanexpert.com. You don't even need to take out a mortgage right now. Just get pre-qualified and make sure that you are set and ready to roll. We got a lot to get to today. Let me give you the rundown. We're going to talk about a major debate question that ESPN had today. Is college basketball modern day slavery? ESPN debating that on First Take, thanks to those of you who sent me a screenshot of their discussion. Unbelievable. We'll talk about Holy Cross. They've removed the night mascot. I'll probably also touch here a little bit on Penny Hardaway to Memphis. And Bruce Pearl fires back at Tony Barbee over the ridiculous emoticon. And we got to talk about this Austin bombing, plus Twitter and Facebook under siege over the investigations that appear that they are going to follow suit surrounding their platforms and whether they were used inappropriately. Much to get to, so let's drive right in. There are lots of stories going on right now in the world of sports. So many things you could talk about. But ESPN decided the most pressing question of the day in sports is, wait for it, whether or not college basketball is a modern version of slavery. Now, one of the things that I'm working on in my book right now is this concept. The story choices that you make dictate the political persuasion that you are attempting to spread. This is a far, far left-wing idea, right? I don't think there's very many people out there that are watching the NCAA tournament and they think, you know what this reminds me of? Slavery. Because I don't think most people think of slavery as being the kind of institution, a peculiar institution that it was called, where your goal as a slave master was to send your slaves off to college to be educated and fed for free so that they could then make the best possible living predicated on freedom when their time playing basketball was up. In fact, I think most people out there would say that the bargain for exchange of I am good at basketball, therefore I get to go to college for free is something that many people would like to have the opportunity to do. I was not good enough at basketball to get to go to college for free. But if I had been good enough to get to go to college for free because I played basketball, I would not have thought, my God, this reminds me of slavery. I would have thought this seems like a pretty good deal. Now, there's much discussion out there right now about whether or not players should be paid, and it's far more complicated than the actual discussion that you will hear. Because really, Title IX gets rolled up in it and everything else. My argument has been for a long time. Let players go pro when they want to go pro. The reason why we have the debate about whether college players should get paid or not, in my opinion, is because we don't allow players to go pro whenever they want. They have to go to college, and there's no fungible alternative right now to going to college. You either go to college, there's not that many kids who are going to go overseas, there's not that many kids who are going to take $20,000 a year and go play in the D-League. The NBA's age restriction, as well as the NFL's age restriction, directly implicate players' ability to go pro. If you want to go pro, you should be able to go pro. If you want to go to college and get an education in exchange for a scholarship, you should go to college and get an education in exchange for a scholarship. Most college athletic departments lose money. They lose money because under Title IX, they're required to give equal numbers of scholarships to women and to men. So college athletic programs are not run as fundamental businesses designed to make money. They are socialist systems. The money that the guys make playing NCAA basketball and the money that football players make is redistributed into a couple of different places. Facilities, their facilities are incredible. And then also all of the other student athletes who get scholarships would not otherwise get them in a market-based system. And I can't believe I have to keep saying this, but every female athlete would not receive a scholarship to college if market economics were in play. Maybe a tiny few would at UConn. I don't know if UConn's women's basketball program is profitable. Otherwise, every single women's program in America loses money. Do you know why that is? Because there's not that much interest in it. And it's not because of sexism, because most of the people who spend money now on women's sports are men. It's because men are bigger sports fans than women. And it's like you can't even say that now because people are like, oh my God, are you suggesting there's a difference between the sexes? Yes. Yes, I am. Men have penises. Women have vaginas. We are fundamentally different biologically. Women can carry babies. Men cannot. Men like sports and competition on average more than women do. That does not mean that some women don't like sports more than men. It means that on average, if I were going to go up to talk to somebody and I was talking to a guy or a girl, I would feel better betting that the guy is going to be a big sports fan than the girl. The fact that everything has to be equal these days is crazy to me. I'm going to start selling biology as sexist t-shirts here soon because guess what? Men and women are different. And that's great. And that's fantastic. And that's why biology works, because men and women are different. All right? So the truth of the matter is this. Women's college athletics does not pay for itself. But women are given the same number of scholarships as men. There are 85 scholarships for football. That means that 85 women get scholarships because men play football. And as a result, there are a lot more women in women's sports from a variety of different sports that get money for their scholarship than men do. Okay? That's the fundamental construct of the way athletics works now. Because of Title IX, if you gave every men's basketball player $50,000 if they made the NCAA tournament, you would also have to give every women's athlete $50,000. And a lot of men as well. Okay? That's the truth. But the issue here to me, when I see them on First Take debating whether or not college basketball is a modern form of slavery, is that is such a far left proposition that it's an intentional attempt to interject this story as a legitimate debate. I think where most of the far left-wing bias in sports is coming from is the decisions about what sports to cover and then whether or not you call out people who have illegitimate and illogical perspectives. ESPN employs thousands of people. No one has ever gone on ESPN and said, Colin Kaepernick is a fraudulent idiot. That's the truth. That's my opinion. No one has ever said it. On the other hand, how many people have said, oh, it's so brave of him to come out against police brutality. It's so brave of him to be opposed to the murder of innocent people. It's not brave to take a perspective when no one else is on the other side. That's not bravery. Bravery is coming out when things are like 50-50 and you take a strong stance and you're later proven to be correct. Everybody out there wants to say, oh, Colin Kaepernick's a modern-day Muhammad Ali. When Muhammad Ali decided not to register for the draft, whether or not Vietnam made sense was an unclear 50-50 perspective. there was a strong group of people saying, hey, Muhammad Ali, you are not doing your obligations as a citizen in the United States. Because remember, we're coming off World War II, which was the last great war where we've been able to say there was a good side, us and the Allies, and there was a bad side, the Nazis. There's not a lot of people out there right now, you're like, you know what? Looking back on history, I think the Nazis had a decent perspective. No. Winston Churchill and the English and certainly the American allies that came in, one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do was go tour the beaches at Normandy. I got to do it last year. We had a private guide. One of the most remarkable things I've ever gotten to do. If you get the chance to ever do it, you can literally look out at these beaches, which are almost identical to what they were at the time of us storming the beaches at Normandy on June 6, 1944. It's one of the most remarkable things I've ever done. I'm a history buff. I'm certainly a military history buff. I've been around all the Civil War battlefields. I loved the opportunity to go out and look at that. And I think I talked about this when I came back, but if you stand there in the German pillboxes where they still have some of the machine guns, and you look down at those beaches, what you will be amazed by is the absolute balls of motherfucking steel that those kids had in 1944 to walk off of a transport ship in the ocean into a hail of bullets with blood everywhere, with guts everywhere. They were a different caliber of badass, frankly, than most of us are today. And by the way, they were volunteers. They were conscripted soldiers. This was not the elite of the elite. This wasn't what we have now where we've got all the great heroes who are just badasses in the Navy SEALs and all the different special ops forces. These were kids who were otherwise in high school at 18 years old, and then they sign up, they go through basic training. Next thing you know, they got a gun on their shoulder, and they're marching into the water into a hail of gunfire. Okay? That is true bravery. That was going head-to-head with the Nazis. Colin Kaepernick taking a knee isn't even remotely in the same ballpark as that. And it's not even close to what Muhammad Ali did because there's no uncertainty about his opposition. There's nobody out there who's like, you know what? I wish police killed more innocent people. I am in favor of more death. I wish there were more violence out there. I wish there were more people getting killed who didn't do anything wrong. No one is on that side. So the idea that he's being brave by saying something that literally no one disagrees with is a fundamental flaw. And this all ties in with questions like these, which are, is college basketball modern day slavery? The answer is in no way yes. Unless I misread all my history books, and unless I was misguided, and slavery was not actually slavery, but it was a method to allow people to get higher educations and ensure that their paychecks are higher, and or if they don't get the opportunity to become professional athletes. And in the meantime, they get as much food as they want. They get a free place to live. They get probably extra benefits way beyond that. I don't think there's very many people out there right now who are regular college students that wouldn't trade spots in a heartbeat with college basketball players. Like, would you trade places if you're a college student right now with an average college basketball player? I think almost everybody would say yes. I don't think there were that many people who weren't slaves back in the day that were like, you know what? Those slaves have such a good life right now. I think I'll trade perspectives with them. So all of that goes to the point that ESPN has lost its way. I'm 60,000 words into my book, which will be out this September, talking about why sports, which used to be our national connective tissue, has now turned into a left-wing obsession. Social justice warriordom come to sports. And so I'm encouraging you guys, I think you're going to love the arguments that I make in this book that almost nobody else, in fact, nobody else in the world of sports is making. We've entered into a very strange region of sports media and the sports universe, and I think it's being driven by decisions like ESPN's when it comes to illegitimate, absurd, and difficult to justify debates about whether or not college basketball is modern day slavery. All right, let's go into a new topic. Penny Hardaway. Did the research on this. Penny Hardaway is going to Memphis, straight from high school to coaching a high school basketball team in Memphis, won 3 straight titles. He's going straight in, replacing Tubby Smith to coach at the University of Memphis. And to me, I respect the big swing here. This is an opportunity to get something really right. It's also an opportunity to totally bomb. So far, the only person in modern history who has done this is Tony Sanchez, I believe is his name. He went from Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas to take over UNLV. He's been there 3 years. They went 3-8, 4-8, 3-9, 4-8, 5-7. He's gotten one game better each year. We'll see what happens in year 4. It's a big step. Now, I think a big part of college basketball, no surprise, is getting the best possible talent. And I do think Penny Hardaway will do a good job of that. But my question in general is, how is he going to be able to manage the long-range future of a program? Because I believe this. I think the overall quality of Memphis basketball player is not what it once was in terms of depth. Bruce Pearl came on with my show this morning, and he basically said the same thing. He said Memphis basketball right now is not what it was 10 or 15 years ago. Now, there are some good, talented players, but the quality of player there is not as high as it used to be. And certainly, John Calipari, when he was at Memphis, made his money by recruiting players from outside the city of Memphis by and large, as opposed to actually people in the city of Memphis. So I'm intrigued to see whether or not this idea works. I'm intrigued to see whether or not there might be copycats, because ultimately college basketball is a player-driven sport. Although increasingly the best teams in college basketball, notwithstanding Duke and UK, tend to be teams made up of 3rd and 4th year guys who have developed over 3 and 4 years or better as a teammates and as teams than guys who come in for only 1 year. But the overall caliber of talent is not as high. Now, Memphis people get so triggered. They get so triggered when you say anything other, because first of all, Memphis, for those of you who don't know this, Memphis used to have a rivalry with the city of Nashville. And then the city of Nashville just dunked all over Memphis. We got the Titans. We got the Preds. We got huge, thriving, booming population. Everybody wants to go to Nashville. Nobody wants to go to Memphis. And this has put a perpetual chip on the shoulder of, we got MLS coming too. Nobody wants to go to Memphis anymore. Nobody wants to go to Memphis anymore. It's not even a rivalry between the two cities. It's unfair. I think Nashville's rivalry has moved on to like Charlotte, Austin, Texas, Atlanta a little bit. Certainly will become more of a rivalry when the MLS team comes in. And Memphis, all they've got left is a crappy Grizzlies franchise, which is bad and nobody's interested in. And then they've got the University of Memphis, which has been pretty mediocre ever since John Calipari left. And so if you say anything about literally the only thing Memphis has left is basketball. And they're not even very good at that. So Memphis people are incredibly sensitive about the idea that Memphis isn't even very good at basketball anymore. But that's the truth. The Grizzlies suck. And the truth of the matter is that the University of Memphis has not been any good. So what do you point to if you're in Memphis and be like, hey, we are killing it here? Compared to Nashville, even compared to Knoxville, they got nothing. So they are, I don't even know who Memphis feuds with now. What does Memphis feud with? Like, who's their rival? I don't even know. You're better than Mississippi in general, better than Arkansas, but I don't know who you really feud with now. So I think this is an interesting question. The quality of talent is not what it was in Memphis. And I think the quality of basketball talent is down overall. And as a result, this is a big swing at trying to make Memphis basketball relevant again, because they think that Penny Hardaway is going to be able to make them relevant. By the way, American Athletic Conference also just not that good, right? Over the course of time, and it's kind of unstable what exactly is going to happen there. So I think the people in Memphis call it the Forgotten City. I think there's probably some truth to that. And so as a result, everybody in Memphis wishes they lived in Nashville. Nobody in Nashville wishes they lived in Memphis. I mean, I meet people from Memphis all over the place all the time. They live in Nashville now. I'm like, why do you live here? Well, Nashville's better. They abandoned their hometown because Nashville's gotten so much better and it's just 2.5 or 3 hours up the road. So all of that is true. I hope that Penny Hardaway can be successful because I think it makes it a lot more interesting in college basketball if he is a fun and engaging and exciting coach who also has some success at Memphis, because I think it's just more entertaining when there's more than one good basketball program in the state that I live in. Now, Vanderbilt's on the way back up because somehow Bryce Drew's got all these 5 stars coming to Vanderbilt. Tennessee's obviously in good shape, notwithstanding the loss to that Sister Jean awful nun who sold her soul to the devil. Notwithstanding that, Tennessee's going to be really good next year, but Memphis has fallen into probably 3rd place in the state, and that makes people really actually nervous. All right, I don't know if you heard Bruce Pearl come on the show this morning. Bruce Pearl responded to Tony Barbee by saying, and I quote, I quoted him this morning. I thought it was great. I don't know if you saw Tony Barbee sent out that emoticon. It was pretty ridiculous. Tony Barbee sent out an emoticon that said, that basically was making fun of the fact that Auburn was losing in the 2nd round. Probably some of you saw that. It was like a laughing emoticon. And I ran through that. Auburn, Bruce Pearl said, "I'm smiling and laughing too." This was Bruce Pearl on the show this morning. And Bruce Pearl's a fantastic radio guest. "I'm smiling and laughing too. We just won the SEC and made the NCAA tourney LMAO. That's pretty fantastic." So this is, oh man, why am I so ugly and annoying? I'm going to have to block this guy. I can't believe it. You're dead. You're gone forever. I don't think I'm that ugly. What I am is rich, and what I am is insanely successful. And what I also am is really good at talking. So even with this ugly face, and even with this annoying personality, probably your girlfriend would rather spend the day hanging out with me than you. And certainly your wife would, because I got more money. So just file that away in your basket of insecurities. Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to talk about a couple of other things too. Did you guys see that the Holy Night, the night at Holy Cross, the mascot, the Holy Cross night has been removed right now. And what's fascinating about this is, why are they pulling the night mascot out of Holy Cross? This is going to blow your mind when you hear it. They are pulling the night mascot because of the Holy Cross connection to the Crusades, and because they now believe that the knight who was on the Crusades hundreds of years ago is actually offensive. I'm not kidding about this. This is real life. They have pulled the knight mascot because of the connection to the Crusades. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I legitimately question where we are headed as a society when people decide that the knight, i.e. like the knight wearing the armor, is too offensive for modern day college kids. People need to stand up to these modern day losers and just say this to them. Look, you are in college. One day, when you are not in college, you are going to look back at yourself in college and ask the question, why was I such a tremendous pussy in college? Why, when I had all these opportunities to go out and have a good time and chase girls and drink and get to sleep as much as I wanted and thought that 15 hours a week of classes was actually a full schedule, did I choose to spend my time worried about whether or not my school had a night mascot? Because I can guarantee you this, there isn't a single person on earth who is legitimately offended by the Holy Cross night. This isn't even about being offended. This is about letting other people know how deep your social justice warriordom goes. These people so desperately want to be praised for their wokeness that they're not even actually trying to change something that matters. They are just out there trying to draw attention to themselves and be the most politically correct person on earth. This is the truth. And I don't know why people won't stand up to them and say, hey, guess what? you're being a total pussy here. There's nobody who's actually offended by the night mascot. You are lying when you say that you are offended by the night mascot. You just want something to be able to put on social media that you were offended by. And you have decided that the fucking Crusades from the 1500s are somehow implicating your ability to get an education now, and that our cartoon knight character walking around is somehow systemically oppressing the country. This is the truth. And the fact that people won't stand up to them and say it fires me up. That's why I'm writing a book, which will be out this September. All right, let's talk about this crazy-ass Austin bomber. This crazy-ass Austin bomber is, what's amazing about this is he's bombing everybody. So initially, all the media reports are like the crazy-ass Austin bomber is a racist crazy-ass Austin bomber. And I got to be honest with you. I don't get the idea that it's somehow better that he's trying to kill everybody. Like, the media was so giddy at the idea that we had a crazy racist bomber that they were like all in on the fact that he only wanted to kill minorities. And now that he's trying to kill everybody, there doesn't seem to be the same level of media obsession here. Because once you're trying to kill everybody, you're just an egalitarian murderer. And what's hot in the TV streets and the social media streets now is racism bombing. And so I can't help but think when I watch television that the bomber was actually like offended that they were calling him racist. And he was like, wait a minute, I'm not racist. I'm just trying to kill everybody. And I'm wondering whether the bomber, when he was sitting around, was like, hey, don't call me a racist. I'm a mass murdering bomber, but I'm not racist. Don't say bad things about me. So he decided to start targeting white people. And the whole thing is crazy to me. First of all, the idea of blowing up packages is scary because so many of us get packages delivered every day to our house. My wife is like the queen of online shopping. There's stuff coming to our house every day, all sorts of boxes every day. I got no idea what's being delivered. Why do you think I work so much? Because there's so much stuff constantly being delivered in my house. I got to work so much just to keep my head above water here. But it's crazy to me that people were like, oh, when it's a mass murder and he's trying to kill minorities, that's awful. Like, let's turn this into a viral story. And then as soon as he's trying to kill everybody, we're like, oh, well, it's not as bad. It's bad either way. If you are bombing people and blowing them up, I got to tell you, I don't think the race of the people that you're bombing should be the primary story. I think the fact that you're blowing people up, period, should be the primary story. People are like, oh, we got a racist bomber. How about we just focus on the fact that we got a bomber? Bombing ain't good, all right? There's nobody else out there that's like, I was really concerned about the bombing when I thought it was a racist bombing. But now that everybody's in danger and he's trying to blow up everybody, at least he's an egalitarian mass murderer. We live in a strange world. We live in a strange world when I think about that stuff. And I got to tell you this. I'm anti-bombing. Not sure anybody out in America today hates bombers more than me. The next time I hear the national anthem, I'm going to take a fucking knee. And you know why I'm going to take a knee? Because I hate bombing more than you. There's nobody on the planet. I'm going to get the fucking ESPY for the next 10 years in a row. When that national anthem comes on, I'm going right to my knee. When people ask me why I went to my knee, I'm going to say, man, I went to my knee to protest bombing. I am anti-bombing, and nobody hates bombing more than me. All these other people out there that are like, oh, I'm okay with bombing. I won't stand for it. I won't allow it. You heard it here. Clay Travis, anti-bomber extraordinaire. I hate bombers more than you. 100%. Take a knee. I'm just going to make it clear to everybody. I hate bombing. And that, my friends, is going to win me an ESPY. That's the truth. All right. Finally, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention right now to what's going on with Facebook and Twitter? Facebook and Twitter are under siege because they've tried to pretend for a long time that they are not political in nature. And now they suddenly are under siege because their platforms are being used by people who are inherently political in nature, and they're using the power of the platform to artificially distort our democracy, which is, I think, something that both Facebook and Twitter, maybe Instagram, I don't use it, I don't know enough about it. Nobody uses Snapchat anymore, so that company's dead. I think in general, when you look at the way that Facebook and Twitter are broken out, it's become like manna from heaven for the media because it's easy to cover tweets, and we live in a clickbait society where everybody's out there trying to publish like 50 articles a day. There's a reason why I only publish a couple of articles a day at most on Outkick. It's because I don't think there's 50 things that I need to write about every single day. And so as a result, we're constantly chasing artificial stories. And this is where Trump is right to some degree about fake news. There is, I think, a direct connection between social media and the Holy Cross night having to be taken away. There's a connection between social media and ESPN debating whether college basketball and slavery is connected. And I think one of the reasons is because there has been an artificial inflation of far left-wing voices on social media. There's a lot of attention paid to Russia and its influence on the election. I think the bigger influence is the far left-wing trying to legitimize far left-wing ideas. 95% of the American public thinks the idea of connecting college basketball to slavery is insane. But ESPN is doing it, which elevates it into the conversation. I firmly believe that 95% of Americans also believe that the idea that Holy Cross needs to remove their night mascot because of its connection to the Crusades is also insane. But there is a calculated attempt, I believe, to manipulate existing Twitter and Facebook systems to make those kind of opinions seem more mainstream than they actually are. And as a result, I think it probably also happening on the far right to try to create division. I don't think Twitter is directly responsible for it. I don't think Facebook is directly responsible for it. But I think their systems are being gamed. And I think when their systems are being gamed, that is a threat to our democracy, because I say that as a First Amendment absolutist. I think that we have ended up with an artificial construct of reality. And yesterday, I'm going to keep reiterating this, my suggestion for Twitter was only allow people to have Twitter accounts with their own real names attached to them. And then you can use those real names, but don't allow all these fake and artificial accounts to take place. I don't think that makes sense. Twitter's got a great business. User growth is not what it's predicated on. It's predicated on people using it who are actual real people. And I think that makes the most sense to focus on. I think it makes so much sense. All right. I love all of you. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. You can go check me out. I'll be on live tomorrow, as I am every single day, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Go get a mortgage with Home Loan Expert, and make sure that you're checking out the lines with my friends at sportsbookreview.com. Love all of you. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show.